Coaches have always told me, all the coaches that I've had, and that's in high school and in college, that most effective way to play the game of basketball is to utilize the basic fundamentals and put the ball in the hoop the easiest way possible.
Dr.j.
That way for Julius Erving began in 1971 in the ABA, where his artistry, creativity, and acrobatic flair earned him the nickname Dr. J. And it continued on in the NBA, where he led Philadelphia to the 1983 title.
I think it's the beginning for the 76ers, not just the end by gaining this accomplishment and reaching the goal that we've been reaching. I think it is a beginning.
Culmination of a great career. Congratulations.
Over 16 professional seasons, Erving redefined the forward position by lifting the game's boundaries to lofty new heights.
I think taking the ball to the hoop and dunking the basketball, particularly against bigger opponents, was an expression of sorts.
Look out. This week on Overtime,
Julius the Dr.
In the long run, I'll be able to handle myself man-to-man with almost anyone in the league.
And the Celtics, they have done it again. A spectacular finish.
He was the ABA. He revitalized the NBA.
Presses the inner button in the heart, and all of a sudden he just takes it on.
This man has a smile that lights up a television screen from here to Bangor.
There will never, ever, ever be another Larry Bird.
Michael will take it. He's fouled. He scores. Oh, my, Michael with his fifth.
Shaq the man, most dominant player in the world.
Hello again, everyone. I'm Bruce Beck. Welcome to Overtime, presented by America Online. He was the man who took the game of basketball airborne, operating above the rim in a brand new way. His name, Julius Erving, but to fans everywhere, he was Dr. J. And he electrified his sport like few athletes ever have. Today we'll hear from Julius over the course of his career, which spans 16 seasons and 2 leagues. And we'll begin with his first stop in the ABA, the Virginia Squires. Here's a feature called Dr. J Makes a House Call, as he returned to his native Long Island for a game against the Nets.
When did you first realize, what was your very first realization that you were going to be something special in basketball, that you were better than most of the guys that you were playing with?
Well, I guess I didn't realize that until after I went to college. You know, before I went to school, I thought I was a good basketball player. You know, I thought that I could possibly, hold my own playing against most of the players around here. And, I hoped that I could hold my own in outside competition, which I really wasn't exposed to that much because, I played ball against guys, within the state of New York, but as far as playing outside of state, I didn't play too much. After my first 2 years of college, however, I was selected to go to the camp and try with the Olympic development team. And to my surprise, and I guess to the surprise of the people who ran the camp, I made the team and went to Europe with them and led the team in scoring and rebounding. I think at that moment, I might have realized within myself that, I was possibly a superior player.
You make it look so easy. And to me, it's hard to believe that it really is quite as easy as you make it look. Is it?
Well, coaches have always told me, all the coaches that I've had, and that's in high school and in college, that most effective way to play the game of basketball is to utilize the basic fundamentals and put the ball in the hoop the easiest way possible for you. And I think, this is something that each individual has to decide, for himself, which is the easiest thing for him to do. Me, I think that when I play the game of basketball, it's easiest for me to score in close to the basket and up in the air. And, I try to take advantage of my ability to, and most of the time, shoot the ball while I'm at the peak of my jump, maybe above the rim, and just laying it in.
You know, I would say that you are a complete player now, and yet if there is a deficiency in your game, it would be probably outside shooting and maybe your defensive play. Let me ask you about these two aspects in two parts. First of all, do you work much on your outside shooting?
Well, yes. Unlike in college, you know, where we would play twice a week and then practice the other days and maybe get in 3 or 3.5 hours of practice. In the professional game, it's playing 4 or 5 nights a week, and you know, maybe when you don't play, you might practice for an hour. And this is practicing in a formal sense. When I usually go to this type of practice, I try to work on my shooting because I know that you know, if I do have a deficiency in the game of basketball, maybe it is, you know, my range. But on the other hand, you know, I think a player should go to his strengths, you know, when he's playing the game of basketball. And if the strongest part of my game is inside, this is where I'm going to be 90% of the time. So you know, even though working on my outside shooting would broaden my game a bit, I think I'll still play the same type of game by trying to get as close to the basket as possible and then utilizing my moves.
Julius, give me a 30-second answer to this one. Is it possible for a person who is counted on offensively as much as you are to play dedicated defense?
Well, defense mainly is a thing where it's a matter of concentration, you know, and now and then I find myself losing my man, you know, a good deal because of my lack of concentration. This is something that I'm working hard at, and you know, I'm very conscious of, and you know, I'm trying to get together, and hopefully I will.
We'll be back with more Dr. J Makes a House Call in a moment.
Thanks, Andy. We'll take it from here. Julius spent his first 2 years in Virginia, where he won the league scoring title. But in 1973, he got the chance to return home to Long Island when he was traded to the Nets. And he led the franchise to 2 ABA titles while being named a 3-time league MVP. But the doctor's next house call would come in Philadelphia, and we'll pick up the story there when we come back.
And there was nothing pretty about what we did to the NBA this year. It was absolutely beautiful.
I think it's the beginning for the 76ers, not just the end by gaining this accomplishment and reaching the goal that we've been reaching. I think it is a beginning.
Culmination of a great career. Congratulations.
After dazzling the ABA, Julius Erving took his act to a bigger stage in 1976 when he joined the Philadelphia 76ers. NBA fans got a chance to see his individual brilliance, but team success proved to be much more elusive. The Sixers lost in the finals 3 times in the doctor's first 6 seasons. But after adding Moses Malone in 1983, they finally reached the top with a 4-game sweep over the Lakers. Here's a look back at Julius at the championship celebration.
4 wins, 5 wins, 4 wins. Lord, we wish it was that easy. However, we all know it wasn't quite that easy. Not for us, not for you, and it never will be for anybody. To get to where we're at today, we had to live through a whole lot more than 4-5-4. But that's what has us in its grip right now, and we love it. But let me please take a moment and trace back a little ways, because I've been trying to get here for 7 years. And on 3 different occasions, we almost made it. But those occasions shouldn't be forgotten, because it wasn't just the 76ers that almost made it. It was also the city of Philadelphia that almost made it. And what we have now is a situation where the people of Philadelphia, who have friends and relatives and acquaintances and even enemies in Boston, New York, LA, Houston, Milwaukee, Atlanta, Seattle, Washington, and all those other cities in the NBA, Philadelphia now has the World Championship. And we have the World Championship because after 6 years of knocking at the door, and even though we looked good on the court and felt good in our hearts and our minds and our souls, we went out and got ourselves, for cold cash, a hard hat. And we got the final piece to the puzzle that made us complete in every sense of the word. And there was nothing pretty about what we did to the NBA this year. It was absolutely beautiful. Thank you all. We love you.
The city of Philadelphia celebrated its first NBA title in 16 years, and it was especially sweet for the doctor. He'd won 2 titles in the ABA, but felt that only an NBA championship would seal his place as one of the all-time greats. And when the Sixers rolled through the playoffs, winning 12 of 13 games, his mission was finally complete. Coming up, we'll look back at Dr. J's farewell tour, so stay tuned.
Number 32 will forever hang from the top of the Meadowlands Arena. Julius Erving's jersey number 32 is now officially retired.
I've had many opportunities to say goodbye to basketball, so it's not an unfamiliar position for me to be in. I love you too.
For a player as brilliant as Julius Erving, one retirement ceremony simply wasn't enough to do him justice. Besides being honored by the Sixers, Julius also returned to his ABA roots when he headed to New Jersey in April of 1987. The Nets held a tribute of their own for the greatest player in franchise history.
We invite you to turn your attention to the area behind the American flag up there, off to my left, for a very special moment in Nets history, the unveiling of a permanent banner. Number 32 will forever hang from the top of the Meadowlands Arena, Julius Erving's jersey number 32 is now officially retired. And finally, ladies and gentlemen, the moment we've all been waiting for. He was the ABA. He revitalized the NBA. His name is synonymous with basketball and class. Ladies and gentlemen, Dr. J.
I thank all of you for coming here this evening. This really is a special tribute. I can't bear to look up there at that number and that jersey. I haven't seen it for 11 years, and it's been a long 11 years. But through the generosity of the Nets organization, it hangs again. It links the present Nets organization with the Nets of old. The fans here in New Jersey, this team, the players in this organization need to know about the Nets of Long Island, the old New York Nets. The 3 years that I was a member of the Nets organization are a time that I will remember and cherish the rest of my life. I thank you for reminding me of those days here tonight. I thank you for sharing in this salute, for sharing in my farewell tour, for allowing me and my teammates to be here in force to represent about what basketball is about today. But the foundation of the day lies in what happened yesterday. Thank you. God bless you all.
Julius Erving became one of a select group of players to have their jerseys retired by two different teams, and fittingly, in two different leagues. Though he was a superstar in the NBA, Julius truly defined the ABA, symbolizing the league's image of flair and showmanship. And when we come back, we'll talk about a different side of the Doctor's legacy. Over the years, players like Clyde Drexler, Michael Jordan, and now Vince Carter have showcased their high-flying dunks. But the pioneer of aerial artists was Julius Erving. He pushed the game's creative boundaries farther than anyone thought possible and became the player that all others tried to emulate. In this next feature from 1996, we examine his legacy as a basketball innovator.
We are indeed pleased to present the whirling dervish who defies gravity. From the University of Massachusetts, number 6, captain of the Philadelphia 76ers, Julius the Dr. Erving.
While the rest of the country had celebrated freedom of expression in the 60s, Julius Erving brought it to the NBA in the 70s as he rose to superstardom with unique charisma.
That was the scoop with something extra on it. Name an ice cream cone after that shot.
My freshman year of high school, I scored 2 points in one game on a baseline drive in which I went under the hoop and just came on the other side and did a little scoop. He just kind of
lost it, you know. He hadn't seen anything like that, and the varsity players, you know, hadn't seen anything like that. And I kind of recognized that it was a little bit different. It was pretty much a routine move for me, but it was a creative move, and it was a matter of, you know, moving away from the fundamental plane to something creative. And that sort of continued for me from that time on.
Watch this fantastic move by the doctor.
He was just so athletic. I mean, I've heard stories how, you know, he could, you know, take off from the free throw line. He could jump from underneath the basket out of bounds. Just, I don't know, long arms, big hands, great jumping ability, just everything you need to be a great athletic player.
Here he comes. Doctor looks for daylight. And Julius is unbelievable in a wide open situation. I have never seen anybody be able to do the things that he could do.
Not just an athlete, Julius was also an artist, and he built on the stylistic tradition of those who had gone before him.
There were a lot of comparisons with Connie Hawkins, and certainly Elgin Baylor, who I saw play many times on TV, and patterned a lot of my body movement after. So there were people before who I looked at and stole from, and then I guess there are a lot of people who stole some of my stuff.
Combining the best of the past with his own innovation, Julius brought new excitement to the game.
Look at the air. Look at the hang time. Look at the flying motion.
My first year in Philadelphia, the rookies on the team, Mike Dunleavy and Terry Furlow, anytime I got a breakaway shot, you know, they would always say, poster. And what they referred to is anybody attempting to block it were going to end up being in a poster.
Here he comes. Way rock the baby to sleep and slam dunk.
As fans flocked to see the doctor operate, he took on a new role. Anointed the league's ambassador, he achieved startling popularity and became a living symbol of the game.
Dr. J, to me, was the NBA. It was like all of us would go to our little baskets in our room and be Dr. J. And we couldn't even do the stuff on a Nerf basketball hoop, let alone, you know, on a 10-foot or 8-foot basket.
He was the ABA. He revitalized the NBA. His name is synonymous with basketball and class. Ladies and gentlemen, Dr. J.
When he retired in 1987, Julius Erving was one of only 3 players in the history of pro basketball to have scored over 30,000 points. He had won 3 MVP awards in the ABA and 1 in the NBA. And he had won championships in both leagues. But beyond all his stats, Julius will be remembered as a player who took the game of basketball to a new level and did it with an air of style and grace. That's it for this edition of Overtime, presented by America Online. For NBA TV, I'm Bruce Beck.
I think taking the ball to the hoop and dunking the basketball, particularly against bigger opponents, was an expression of sorts. You know, if you dunk the ball over a little guy, you know, you're supposed to, right? But now you get a guy 6'10", 6'11", 7 feet. You know, you pull a play off on him, then he's got something to think about. That was, you know, playing instinctive basketball.